So your daughter just got a call from a Division I coach. She's thrilled. You're thrilled. But here's what no one's telling you in that moment. The team she just got invited to might not look anything like it does today by the time she steps on campus. The sport she's playing might get more money. It might get less. It might get entirely cut. And the conference that team plays in might be a part of a completely different structure than it is right now. That's not a hypothetical. This is what the president of the NCAA said out loud on national television this past week. Charlie Baker sat down with Face the Nation and talked about a football super league, about sports getting cut, and about where the money actually goes, and about a bill in Congress that could change recruiting rules for every family watching this video. Some of what he said is going to directly affect the sport your child plays, even if that sport has nothing to do with football. So stick with me for the next few minutes, because I'm going to break down exactly what he said, piece by piece, and more importantly, what it means for your family and your athlete right now. And hey, if you're new to this channel, my name's Keith Mondillo. I just finished my 31st year as a director of athletics and NCAA head basketball coach. I'm directly off the beach in beautiful Avalon, New Jersey, but I had to jump on today because when Charlie Baker's in the news, you know it's going to be important. Before I get into this, I want to give you something. I put together a free resource called the College Recruiting Jumpstart Pack. It walks you through the first steps every family needs to take before you get pulled into the headlines like the ones we're about to talk about today. The link is right below this video. Grab it now because you're going to want a plan in place before these changes settle into place. Here's the situation every recruiting family's in right now. You're trying to make one of the biggest decisions of your child's life. And you're making it while the entire structure underneath college sports is being rebuilt in real time. Revenue sharing is new. Roster limits are new. Conference realignment keeps shifting the map. And now Congress is debating a bill that would change NIL rules and transfer rules for every athlete in the country. Most families get told to just wait and see how it plays out. I don't think that's good advice. Waiting costs your child roster spots, scholarship dollars, and leverage in the process. I've sat on the athletic director side of this table for 31 years. I've watched programs get added, watched programs get cut, and watched families walk into a commitment with no idea any of this was even happening in the background. The families who do well in this process are not the families with the most talented athlete. They're the families who understand the system well enough to keep asking sharp questions before they commit and not after. So let's walk through exactly what Baker said piece by piece and translate it into what you need to do with this information. The first thing Baker addressed head on was the narrative that sports are disappearing across Division I. He pushed back on that story. His point was that while some programs are being cut, other programs are being added at the same time. And total participation numbers in Division I are close to all-time highs. He said no one ever talks about the sports that get added, only the ones that get cut. Here's what that means for your family. You cannot assume that a program exists today the same way it will exist in 3 years. If your son or daughter is being recruited by a school right now, you need to ask direct questions during the visit. Ask the coach how the roster size has changed over the last 3 years. Ask if the sport has a sponsorship commitment from the athletic department beyond the current cycle. Ask how different realignment has affected the schedule and the travel budget for that specific sport, not just for football. These are not rude questions. These are the questions a prepared parent asks, and coaches respect families who ask them. Think about it this way. Two schools can look completely stable from the outside. Same conference, same division, same shiny facility on the campus tour. But one of those athletic departments has made a public, multi-year commitment to your child's sport, and the other one is one budget cycle away from a very different decision. You will not find that decision on a school's website. You'll find it by asking and by paying attention to how directly the coach answers. Baker was very direct about this part. He said there are only two sports that generate the kind of revenue we're talking about with revenue sharing, and that's football, and in some cases, men's basketball. He said those two sports support almost every other program a school offers, especially at the Division I level. This matters enormously for families in Olympic sports and non-revenue sports. If your child plays volleyball, track, swimming, lacrosse, soccer, or almost anything outside of football and men's basketball, you need to understand that your program's funding is downstream of decisions that are being made in a completely different sport. Being at a Division I school does not automatically mean full support for every program. Some schools invest heavily in their non-revenue sports because it builds their brand and their alumni base. Other schools do the bare minimum. Your job as a parent is to find out which kind of school you're dealing with before your child commits and not after. A good way to start is to look at how a school talks about the Olympic sports publicly. Do they show up in the school's marketing? Do alumni from those programs get featured? Do the facilities for that sport get real investment, or does it feel like an afterthought next to the football stadium? None of this guarantees anything, but it tells you where your child's sport sits in that department's priorities. And that priority list is exactly what gets tested when budgets get tight. This is the part of the interview I want to spend real time on, because I think it's the most important thing Baker said and the least understood by families. He was asked directly whether Division I schools breaking away from football scheduling as we know it points towards something kind of football super league-ish, separate from the rest of college athletics. His answer was interesting. He said schools and conferences have started having conversations about scheduling football differently from every other sport, because football is played once a week, usually on the weekends, for somewhere between 11 and 14 games a season. Compare that to sports like basketball, soccer, baseball, or lacrosse, where teams are playing 30, 40, 50, even 60 games a year, often midweek, often across multiple time zones because of realignment. Baker called this an embryonic conversation, meaning it's early, but he confirmed it's happening. Schools are asking whether football should be scheduled on a more national or super conference basis, while other sports move towards a more regional model to reduce travel. Here's why this should matter to every recruiting family watching this video, and not just football families. If this regionalization actually happens for non-football sports, it could mean less midweek travel, fewer missed school days, and lower travel costs for families following their athlete throughout the season. That's a real practical benefit, but it also raises a bigger question. If football effectively separates itself into its own structure, driven by its own television money and its own Super League level competition, what happens to the athletic department dollars that currently flow from football down into every other sport we just talked about in the last section? Baker didn't give a clean answer to that question, and honestly, no one has ever yet. This is the exact kind of shift the family needs to be watching, not because it changes anything today, but because it could reshape which programs are strong, funded, and stable 3 or 4 years from now, right around the same time your current 8th or ninth grader is stepping onto a college campus. If a football Super League model does take shape, expect the ripple effects to hit non-revenue sports first. Watch for shifts in roster sizes, scholarship offerings, and staffing in the sports outside of football and men's basketball at schools that are not part of the top-tier structure. This is not fear-mongering. This is exactly the kind of long-range thinking and prepared recruiting families need to build in their process. Let me put this in real terms. Say your son plays baseball and he's being recruited by a school in a power conference. Right now, that school's baseball program benefits from being attached to a football and basketball machine that brings in enormous television revenue. If football pulls away into its own Super League structure, with its own television deal and its own governance, the question becomes whether that same level of revenue keeps flowing down into baseball and soccer and track, or whether those sports start competing for a smaller slice of what's left. Baker did not say this is happening tomorrow. He said the conversation has started. That's exactly the moment a smart family pays attention, not after the decision's already made. And this cuts both ways, depending on where your child's being recruited. A school that is not part of this big future Super League tier might actually double down on its non-football sports to differentiate itself and attract talent because it cannot compete for football revenue at that level anyway. So the schools that invest hard in your child's sport in 5 years might not be the household names you're actually picturing right now. So keep your eyes open and don't assume the biggest brand is automatically the safest bet for your specific sport. The last major piece Baker addressed in this bipartisan Protect College Sports Act moving through Congress, he explained why the NCAA supports it. Right now, there are roughly 40 different states with 40 different sets of rules governing how NIL works. There's no national regulation of agents working with student athletes. That patchwork makes it nearly impossible to set one standard that every athlete competes under. For your family, this means the NIL and transfer rules that apply to your child right now depend heavily on which state that school sits in, not just which conference or which division. Until federal legislation actually passes, don't assume the rules you read about in one state apply the same way in another. If your athlete's being recruited by schools in multiple states, you need to ask each program directly how NIL and transfer rules are being applied in that state right now, this year, because assuming national consistency before it exists is exactly the kind of mistake that costs families opportunities. Baker also pointed out there's currently no national regulation of the agents working in this space. If your family is starting to get approached by agents or advisors offering to represent your athlete through NIL deals, understand that this entire corner of the industry is operated without a consistent national rulebook right now. That means the burden falls on you to vet who you're working with, because the safety net families assume exists in a regulated industry simply is not fully built yet. Let me help you avoid the mistake this creates. Every year I talk to families who choose a school based entirely on how things look at the moment. The roster looked good. The coach seemed great. The program felt stable. And then 2 years later, the funding shifted. The coach left or the conference realigned. And the family had no plan for any of it because no one taught them to ask about it in the first place. This is not about scaring you off from recruiting. It's about making sure your child ends up somewhere for the right reasons, with your eyes fully open to how that program actually fits into the bigger picture we just walked through. The families who get this right are not lucky. They're prepared. You don't have to be a college sports insider to protect your child through this process. You just have to know which questions to ask and when to ask them. And that's exactly what I built these resources to do for you. If you haven't grabbed the free college recruiting Jumpstart pack yet, go do it now. The link is below in this video. It walks you through exactly where to start, no matter what grade your athlete's in right now. Once you have the Jumpstart pack, if you want the full playbook for protecting your family through moments exactly like this one, I put together the Parents Recruiting Survival Guide. It's built for parents who are done reacting to headlines and ready to actually understand the process their child is walking into. It covers the exact kind of situations we talked about today, and how to vet a program's stability, how to ask the right questions on a visit, and how to make sure your child ends up somewhere that's going to support them for 4 years, not just look good on the first visit. It's a simple, affordable place to start, and it's linked right below this video. But before you go, I want to be clear about something. I'm not a recruiting service. I'm an educational organization that guides families just like yours through the college athletic recruiting process. My job is to make sure you understand what's happening in college sports before it affects your child and not after. Go grab the Jumpstart pack and pick up the Survival Guide. And from beautiful Avalon, New Jersey, we'll see you in the next video. Take care.